Hello everyone, welcome to EduTab. Guys, my name is C.A. Rajat Bagga and I am going to be your mentor for SEBI Grade A Companies Act. So now let us start with the topic of Companies Act. As you all know, Companies Act that comprises of two words, Act and Company. So Act simply means law. We have different laws in the country like the criminal law, the civil law. Similarly, we have an act to govern the companies. Okay, so now we often get confused between the term companies and business. We normally assume that all the businesses are companies, but no. Businesses can be of different types. It can be sole proprietorship, it can be partnership, it can be company. Company is a specified type of a business wherein different group of person, okay, or different person they unite, they form an association, they get itself registered, follow the rules of the company, like follow the guidelines issued by the registrar of companies and other guidelines by the central government, and work together and earn a profit. That is basically a company. So here we shall be discussing about the different aspects of companies, the different ways in which companies work, the different documents, the different provisions of the law about companies. Okay, so let us start with the topic, guys. Guys, if you are new to the YouTube channel, kindly subscribe to it. You can also join the Telegram channel. The link is in the description box. In the Telegram channel, you will get a lot of free PDFs and a lot of free content from our side for the preparation of RBI, SEBI, etc. Guys, you can drop a mail to us if you have any query. Our email ID is hello@tab.co.in. You can also call us at 8146207241 for the details of our other courses. And you can also visit our website www.edutab.co.in to check out our various courses. There's an important announcement for you guys. We are currently running a 40% plus additional 10% off on our all courses like RBI, SEBI, NABARD, ESIC, IBPS, UPSC, ICARO and PFRD, and even on the combo courses. You just have to use the code DIWALI, DIWLI. So this is basically a type of gift from EduTab to all our aspirants. Now this offer is only valid till 5th of November 2021. So hurry up, do not waste your time. If you're preparing for any of the examination, these are basically a very good opportunities. Like RBI, SEBI, NABARD, these are very good examination. If you're any banking aspirant or any other, if you're studying for any other government examination also, you should definitely give these examination a try. So currently we are offering you 40 plus 10% off. So hurry up, do not waste your time and purchase the courses. So guys, now let us start with the topic. See, company. I've told you company is an organization. Organization basically it is an incorporated, that is a registered organization wherein different persons they contribute their capital and the company that runs the business and earns a profit. Now when the company is earning the profit, it will return the profit or it will give a part of the profit to its members. The person who has invested the money in the company, they are known as the shareholders or the members. The amount of money which the members will give to the company is known as their capital contribution. I repeat again, capital contribution. And the amount of money that is returned or the part of profit that is returned by the company to the shareholders, that is known as dividend. Okay. So the members, they purchase shares of the company and in return they get dividend from the company. Now guys, what do you mean by shares? See, the entire capital of the company, suppose the requirement of the company is 1 crore rupees. So in a simple person, they cannot give 1 crore rupees to the company. So company will divide its entire capital of 1 crore rupees into 10 lakh shares of rupees 10 each. Okay. So now the price of one share is 10 rupees only. Suppose you are having 50 rupees. So even you can buy the shares of the company, you can give 50 rupees to the company and you will hold 5 shares of the company. Suppose I am having 1000 rupees, I will also buy the shares of the company. How many? 100 shares of the company, since one share is for rupees 10 rupees. Okay. So I am also having the shares of the company. So a lot of individuals, a lot of parties, they will give as much as they can to the company and they will buy the shares of the company. Shares are basically the individual unit what we are buying out of the total pool of the money that is contributed to the company. Okay. So person are investing in the company and they are getting shares of the company. And since they are getting an investment in the company, in return they need a part of their profit. And the part of the profit which the company returns to them is known as dividend. Okay, I hope this concept is clear to you. Now I shall be asking some MCQs from you guys, and with the MCQs only simultaneously we shall be discussing a lot of topics, a lot of doubts will be solved, a lot of explanations will be given to you. Okay, let us start. First question to you guys is, which of the following is the characteristics of a company? I'm giving you the options: perpetual succession, common seal, artificial legal person, separate legal entity, or all of the above. So these are the options. Which of the following is a characteristic of a company? Now these terminologies might be new to you, so we need to understand them. For first of all, I'll need to give you the answer for this question. The answer is option number E, all of the above. Okay, option number E is correct, all of the above. So a company has perpetual succession, it has a common seal, it is an artificial legal person, and it has a separate entity. Okay. Now guys, following are the features of a company. First of all is separate legal entity. What do you mean by separate legal entity? See, separate, you know the meaning. Legal is as per the law, and entity means any business. So company is having a separate legal entity. That means company is different and the owners are different. Company can buy property in its own name. Company can sell property in its own name. That means company has a different separate existence. Company is also having a separate PAN number for itself. Okay. So we need not confuse the owners and the company together. Company is different and the owners are different. Basically, owners, they have contributed to the money to their company. Okay. So company has a legal identity, and that identity is separate from the legal identity of the owners. Second is limited liability. Limited liability is the most important feature for which we are forming the company. That is the most advantageous one. Okay, let us take the example of a proprietorship firm. Like you are doing a business by yourself. Okay, you are not forming a company and you are doing the business by yourself. Suppose your business is having a loss of 25 lakh rupees and the assets of the business that are worth rupees 10 lakhs. Okay, so first of all you will sell those assets of 10 lakh rupees and you will pay the debts of rupees 10 lakhs out of the 25 lakhs. Now the rest 15 lakh debt that you need to pay, that will be recovered from your personal assets. Okay, your personal property. So that means the proprietorship firm, your own proprietorship firm, has an unlimited liability. Your personal assets can also be sold for the recovery of the debts. But that is not the case of a company. In the company, if the company is having assets of rupees 10 lakh rupees, okay, or the contribution that the members have contributed to the business, that is for rupees 10 lakh, and the company has incurred the losses for rupees 25 lakh. Obviously, the 10 lakh can be utilized for the payment or for the recovery of debts. But the rest 15 lakh, can it be recovered from the members of the company? The answer is no. The personal assets of the members of the company cannot be utilized for the recovery of the debts of the company, because company is different and the members are different. They have different debts. Obviously, company can utilize the money that the members have already contributed to the company, okay, or they have promised to contribute to the company. But apart from that, other money that are the personal belongings of the members, that cannot be utilized for the payment of the debts of the company. Clear? Third is perpetual succession. Now what do you mean by perpetual succession? Perpetual means eternity, forever. So that simply means that sole proprietorship business, your own personal business, that will obviously shut down if you die. But that is not the case of a company. Company is not closed by the death of its owner. Company, if you want to shut down the company, there are separate legal formalities for that. Okay, company is not shut down by the death of its owner. If the owners of the company dies, then simply what will happen? Then simply the business will be carried on by the legal representative or the nominees. Suppose the company is having 5 shareholders. If one dies, then the rest of the 4 and the legal representative of the first one, they will carry on the business. If 2 will die, then the 3 members and the legal representative of 2, they will carry on the business. If all the 5 die, then the legal representative of all of them will carry on the business. Okay, so company is having a perpetual succession. The next point is incorporated artificial person. See, incorporated means registered. Okay, artificial, that means company cannot breathe. It is not a natural person, but the government or the regulation, the act, they have given the status of a person to the company. Since company is having its own PAN card number. Now, what will happen? Company can file a case against a person in its own name. Then the right has been given to the company. The other person can file a case against the company, okay, and not in the name of its member. See, company is having a separate identity, a separate entity. So that simply means company has a status of its own. It has an identity of its own, and you do not need to mix the company and its members. Okay, so it has all the rights of a legal person. Basically, the fundamental right, like the voting right, that are not given to the company. Apart from that, the right to seek redressal, the right to information, the right to file cases against someone else, all those rights are given to the companies also. The last point is common seal. Common seal. Seal means stamp. Okay, as I've told you that the company is a person, being an artificial person, but still it is a person. Now, being a person, what the company can do, it has to authenticate the documents, but it cannot put a signature on the document. So what does the company do? It puts the common seal, the common stamp of the company, and any document which is possessing the common seal of the company, we will assume that the company has authenticated that document or signed that document. That means the common seal. Okay, so these 5 are the basic features or characteristics of a company. Okay, so the last answer, I guess you might have known now. So all of the above. Okay, separate legal entity, limited liability, perpetual succession, incorporated, artificial person, common seal. These are basically the features of a company. The next question to you is, the capital with which a company gets itself registered with ROC is called dash. Authorized capital, issued capital, paid up capital, subscribed capital. Now guys, what do you mean by ROC? ROC is the registrar of companies. Okay, it is an ultimate authority. If the company wants to constitute itself, or the company wants to change anything regarding itself, or if it wants to shut down, it has to take the permission of registrar of companies. Registrar of companies is an authority that the government deputes. Okay, it is basically state-wise, or even there are a bigger state like UP. So even a single state can have more than one ROC. Okay, so jurisdiction-wise ROCs have been set up, and basically what they do is they regulate the companies. Okay, so the capital with which a company gets itself registered with ROC is known as dash. Authorized capital, issued capital, paid up capital, or subscribed capital. So the answer to this question is option number A, authorized capital. But let me tell you the details also about this type of capital. So as I've told you, the company is having 1 crore capital. Okay, so for what does the company do? Whenever it has been formed, a new company has been formed, it pays a fees to the ROC, registrar of company, and it says that this is my authorized capital. Authorized capital simply means that in my lifetime, I will issue this much amount of capital. Okay, like the company said that in my lifetime, I will take only 1 crore rupees from my shareholders. So that 1 crore rupees will be your authorized capital, that you have taken permission from the registrar of company that in my lifetime, I will only take 1 crore rupees from my shareholders. So that will mean the authorized capital of the company, the total share capital of the company. Out of that 1 crore rupees, you have said that in my lifetime I will take only 1 crore rupees. Now currently you have issued 50 lakh share capital. Okay, you have issued, you require 50 lakh rupees, and you have issued the shares for rupees 50 lakhs to the shareholders or to the members. So that means the issued capital, the capital that has been issued by the company, it is somewhat less than or equal to authorized capital. Then out of issued capital, the next terminology is subscribed capital. See, I have issued capital for rupees 50 lakh rupees. Maybe my shares is not in demand. Only 45 lakh rupees shares worth have been taken by the shareholders. My 5 lakh rupees share, nobody has taken it. Okay, so that 45 lakh rupees shares is known as subscribed capital. That is, those shares out of the issued capital, those have been purchased by the shareholders. That will be known as subscribed capital. Okay, authorized capital is clear to you, issued capital is clear to you, and subscribed capital is also clear to you. The next is paid up capital. I have told you there are 1 crore shares or rupees 10 each. That means, 1 crore total share capital is there, and that means 1 share is for rupees 10, and that simply means that there are 10 lakh shares. 10 lakh shares into 10 is equal to 1 crore rupees. Now I have issued share worth rupees 50 lakh, and people have subscribed to 45 lakh worth rupees share. That simply means that 4,50,000 shares of rupees 10 have been subscribed by the people. 4,50,000 into 10 is 45 lakh rupees. Okay. Now what do you mean by paid up capital? Suppose I have told them to bring rupees 10. Okay, contribute rupees 10 to me, but all of them have not contributed 10 rupees to me. Okay, suppose all of them have contributed only 8 rupees to me as of now. I have asked for rupees 10, but they have contributed only 8 rupees to me. So how many shares have been subscribed? 4,50,000. And how many money have been paid up by the shareholders to the company? Rupees 8. So 4,50,000 into 8, that would be 36 lakh rupees. That will be my paid up capital. So I'm repeating it again to you. Authorized capital is the total amount of the capital that I've taken from permission of the ROC, that in my lifetime I will raise only this much amount of capital. Issued capital. Issued capital is that capital which currently I have issued to the members of the company. And out of that, how many the member have already purchased is known as subscribed capital. The next term is paid up capital. Paid up capital means that suppose I have issued for 4,50,000 of shares, okay, 4,50,000 shares into rupees 10 each, but that entire 10 rupees people have not given to me right now. They have only given 8 rupees to me right now. So that 4,50,000 into 8 will be my 36 lakh rupees, and that will be my paid up capital, the amount of money that the people have actually paid to me as of now. That is my paid up capital. Okay, the rest 2 rupees they will pay me, but on a future date. I am calculating as on today how much money they have already paid to me. So that will be my paid up capital. I hope that is clear to you now. Next question is OPC is a type of which company? The full form of OPC is one person company. Okay, so OPC is a type of which company? Public unlisted company, public listed company, private company, or private listed company. So the correct answer here would be option number C, private company. OPC is a type of private company. Now guys, let me explain two types of company, basically private company and public company. What do you mean by private company? I'll explain it to you in the next videos also. So private company is a company in which there are minimum 2 shareholders, 2 members, and maximum 200 members are there. Okay, in a private company. And one person company, the type of private company only, it is a new type of company that has been formed by the company in 2013, one person company. As the name suggests, one person company, there are only one member is required. Okay, in private company minimum 2, maximum 200, but a new type of company that is a part of private company only, that is known as one person company, in which there is only one member. Okay, OPC. The other type of company is public company. In public company, we have two types of company: public listed company and public unlisted company. What do you mean by the term listed? Listed means that they have been listed on a stock exchange. You might have heard about the shares being dealt on a stock exchange. There are Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange, Reliance, Tata. Their shares are purchased daily. Okay, people are doing trading on them. So those companies of which the shares are being traded on a recognized stock exchange, those are known as public listed company. And there are some public companies which are not listed on the stock exchange, those are known as public unlisted company. Okay, and there is no term like private listed company, because a company which has to get itself listed, first of all it needs to convert itself into a public company. Okay, do not get confused, do not feel pressurized. This is the very first lecture and I'm basically giving an overview, okay, of the companies. Okay, Companies Act is in much detail, and we shall be covering detail about these topics in the coming videos. Okay, so do not feel the pressure, guys. This is basically an introduction video for you guys. Okay, an overview video. What you need to do is, I'm just explaining some terminologies to you. You just need to research about them on Wikipedia or on Google. Just gather some knowledge about them. Okay, or you can purchase the courses also. In the courses I've given you much details about these terminologies also, but it is not possible that we provide you detail on YouTube because there's a shortage of time also for us. Okay, so private company, public company, I have told you the meaning now. So I have told you OPC is a type of private company, so option number C would be correct there. Okay, private company. The next is, how many minimum members are required for a public company? Options are given 1, 2, 5, 7 or 10. Okay, so the correct answer here would be option number D, 7. So let me. So for a private company, you need minimum 2 members and maximum 200 members. If the number of private company, okay, minimum number is less than 2, that it becomes 1, that it will be an OPC, one person company. And whenever it crosses 200, then it will become a public company. Okay, so minimum 2 and maximum 200 is required. For a public company, minimum 7 members and maximum, there is no limit. They can have n number of members. And for an OPC one person company, as the name suggests, OPC one person company, that means it requires only one person. Okay, minimum also and maximum also, one person is there. So private minimum 2, maximum 200, public minimum 7, maximum there is no limit, and one person company, only one member is required. I hope this basically solves a lot of your doubts also. Basically, I am trying to take a lot of MCQ sessions for you guys, and I'll provide you explanations with MCQ sessions. Okay, you need to study the topics by yourself. I'm trying to cover maximum MCQs, maximum explanation topics by the help of explanations. But if you're not a part of our course, you're just studying from us on YouTube, then you might do some of your research also. You can see the topic name on the YouTube. You can basically see the topic name on the YouTube and just do a bit of research from yourself also, and then try to answer as many questions as you can. which document is also known as charter of the company? Okay, so options are given: memorandum of association, second is article of association, third is prospectus, and D is all of the above. Okay, so charter of the company. The correct answer would be option number A, memorandum of association. Let me memorandum of association. This is basically the most important document of a company. It is also known as charter of the company. It is also known as the principal document of the company. Okay, the most important is memorandum of association. It is basically a legal document that the company requires at the time of formation, okay, or at the time of registration. This document is filed with the registrar of company. This basically tells what all a company can do. Okay, it basically defines the scope of a company. A company cannot do anything outside the purview of a memorandum of association. Clear? The next is article of association. Article of association is the second most important document of the company. It is also given, or it is also submitted to the registrar of companies along with MOA at the time of registration of a company. Okay, article of association is basically the bylaws of the company, Since MOA, memorandum of association, is basically telling what the company can do, articles will be telling you how the company will do that. Okay, so it is basically listing all the methods, all the rules, regulations to how to follow the provisions of MOA. Okay, and third is prospectus. Prospectus is basically a document that the company is giving to its shareholders or to the person who needs to invest the money in the company, that what are our objectives, how many shares we are offering to you, what is the price of one share, all those details the company is giving to the shareholders. That document is known as prospectus. This prospectus is very much similar if you go to a college to take an admission. First of all, they give in prospectus, basically telling the details about the courses they are offering, about their founders, etc., about the fee structure. So prospectus is somewhat similar to that. Prospectus is defining the company's security that the company has offered to you, with the price, with the quantum of security, etc. Clear? So guys, one last question for you guys. It is basically a homework question. So what all are included in the financial statement of a company? So I have given you a terms of item, a list of items are given to you: balance sheet, profit and loss account, cash flow statement, statement of changes in equity, explanatory notes to above, or all of the above. Which all terms or which all documents are included in the financial statements of the company? Okay, so this is a homework question, and homework has to be done by you. Homework has to be done in the comment section. So I would request all of you to do the homework regularly, and I assure you, I promise you, that if you would be sincere and obedient with me, even on YouTube, then I promise you that it can create wonders, guys. I'll give my best to you on YouTube and in course, that you will get success in your examination. Okay, so take my word, just be sincere, just be obedient, and just try to follow the material. The PDF of this material will be available to you on the Telegram. So I hope you all the best, guys. Tomorrow we are having another session at 3 p.m. and that session will also be regarding the basics of the Companies Act. So I'll see you tomorrow. Till then, thank you very much. Happy Diwali.